Hi, welcome to AfterHours podcast, Scary Stories. Darren and I have been collecting scary stories from the guests we've had on the show. Throughout October, we will be posting 2 scary stories a week, one on Tuesday and one on Thursday. So without further ado, let's get started.
I got this then.
Future Ryan, we're here with Alex Huangwa, one of your best friends. This is just for me to listen to in the future when I'm editing and stuff. In case you didn't know, Alex.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
For the reference, because I talk to myself in the third person sometimes, just because I know I'm recording. This was actually probably going in the cut. Because it worked out so perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
That's great.
Darren's here as well.
Yeah. Sometimes.
And this is Alex's scary story. But frame of reference, in case you guys don't hear about it from the podcast part of the thing, I've known Alex since freshman year of high school. I've known her since then, but we actually got to know each other junior year of high school, which was roughly 12 years ago.
Did you guys meet in the dorms?
No,
surprisingly not.
No, she lived in Flagstaff.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
She lived in Flagstaff her whole life.
Nice.
I was born and raised here in Flagstaff.
What part?
Here,
Well,
west side of Flagstaff. So I grew up. So you know where Home Depot is? That's
yeah, I know
where I grew
that.
up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
we get that later.
Okay, we'll get in that later.
But yeah, she's gonna tell her scary story, and it's gonna be dope because she's Alex.
Yeah.
Okay, so my scary story begins out in where I come from. So
Where do you come from?
Yeah.
I come from the village of Hopevella, which is a village located out in the Hopi Reservation. Okay.
Yeah.
It's actually on maps now.
Surprisingly, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's weird. It's on maps now.
Which it didn't used to be. So we were out in Hopevella, and, at that time, I was skeptical of, ghosts. I was in this phase of, do ghosts exist? Are ghosts real? Are things real that are, beyond this earth or whatever? And so at that time, I doubted that. I doubted that heavily. But I was probably around the age of, I would say, 13. I think I was 13 years old at that time. And it's been a while since I've told this spooky/scary story. But I believe in it to this day because it was very real. I remember we were at my grandma's, and at that time, we weren't living in Hopevella, actually. We were living in Tuba City.
What do you call your grandma in
In Hopi? Yeah, in Hopi, she's called So'o.
Mm-hmm.
So my So'o...
Does it matter between your dad's mom and your mom's mom?
No,
No.
it doesn't.
No, it's the same.
Nope.
Same.
It's the same.
Okay.
Exactly. So
Okay.
that's the unique thing about Hopi. So my So'o, you call your So'o the same for both your dad's side and your mom's side.
That's interesting. Actually.
Yep. And so my So'o at that time and my Gua'a, which is grandfather.
And it's the
which
same for both again?
obviously stays the same for both. And we were she lived in a trailer park in Tuba City. So if you're familiar with Tuba City, there's this McDonald's there, and then there's a trailer park right behind it.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, exactly.
McDonald's.
And then right across from that trailer park is Discover Navajo, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, right next to the trading post, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a trading post in the corner. So in that trailer park, we used to go there all the time, and that's because that's where they lived. My grandma worked in Tuba City, and my grandfather was doing jewelry at the time.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, my dad passed away when I was 3, and my brother, I actually had an older brother. My brother would have been 1 year older than me today. I never met him because he passed away from infant death syndrome at that time. And he didn't live to be beyond 3 months old. And so that's who I'm named after, ironically. His name was Alexander, and my name is Alexandra. So I got the female version of that name in his honor.
Is that because of tradition?
Nope, it's just something my parents decided, my mom decided.
Well, in Hopi way, the parents usually decide to give they recognize that the next child is supposed to be an embodiment of the child that was before them if it dies in infancy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it could be.
That's why I was asking because
Yeah.
it's named after
It
your
could
brother.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, my brother's name was Alexander, and I'm
Yeah.
Alexandra. But obviously, I never got to meet him.
Yeah.
But we were
Like
into.
well, just to like talk on that a little more. The only reason I bring that up is because my little sister, her middle name is one of my parents' kids. They died before my little sister was
Yeah.
born, and her middle name is the name of my brother that didn't survive.
Yeah, that didn't live.
Yeah,
Yeah, that.
Crazy.
which is interesting.
Right.
Crazy in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say a good, bad way. Just
Yeah.
It's just interesting. It's just good to know. Right.
Yeah. It's
It's
Exactly.
interesting to know that like cultures think that that embodiment.
There's
still
a very
happens.
big honorary system when it comes to Hopi culture. You know, it's good to honor people and,
Yeah.
and those who moved on. And so we were out in Hopi, and I remember we were watching a movie. We were watching a movie, and it was really late at night, and all the lights were off.
Do you remember what movie?
I actually don't. I don't remember what movie. I just remember the fact that my grandfather really liked to scare people. That's kind of his gag.
I feel like once I become a grandfather, that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
You see that?
So when we watch a horror movie, he'd be in the background with this like big pan, like a cake pan, and he'd drop it on the ground on purpose, and it would make this giant clash, and we'd
Yeah.
all freak out.
Like, ah!
Well, we thought that's
Great.
what he was doing, and we were like, oh, why did you do that? Because we were watching I don't remember the title, but we were watching a horror movie. I remember the type of movie. We were watching a horror movie.
Do you remember the premise? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
So,
It doesn't matter. I'm
so
sorry.
you know, at that point, it's the family. It's me, my mom. It's her brothers and sisters. It's my grandfather, and it's my grandma, and we're all sitting in the living room. And we thought he was the culprit behind that loud clash, and he wasn't. He was just sitting
'Cause he
there.
was sitting there with you
But
guys?
we always knew that it was him, so we looked behind us and we're like, why'd you do that? You scared us. And he goes, I swear it wasn't me this time.
Oh,
And we're
gosh.
like, what the? We're like, you know, what? What?
like-
So we went to the kitchen and the pan was on the ground. And then we tried to rationalize it. Like, okay, maybe
Maybe
the
it fell
dish
off
rack, it
something.
fell off. You know, maybe a breeze came in and it fell off. And, you know, we're like, it just uncanny timing, you know? So we dismissed it. He goes, no, I don't think that's any of it. I think something is, or someone is really trying to do something. And I was like, then I got freaked out, 13-year-old me being
Yeah.
young. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't like where this is going. So he decides to turn on the light. He goes, there's only one true way to test this. He turns on the light because at the beginning, you know, the lights were off. And he goes, we're gonna try this right now. And he does like a call upon the spirits kind of thing. And we're like, don't do this. Like, this is already freaking us out. Don't.
Yeah.
So we're sitting there as a family, right? And he decides to say, Adrian, is that you? And that's my dad's name.
Mhm.
And he goes, Adrian, is that you? And my mom and I just look at each other like kind of uncomfortably, like, this is a little, I don't know, I don't like where this is going. And then the lights flickered, like a big light, like a big one. It vibrated. It was like, like if it could make a sound, it would make that sound.
Yeah.
And we were like, no way. And he goes, is Daka with you? Which Daka in Hopi means like little boy. Little boy is Daka in Hopi. And that means my brother. You know, is he with you?
Mhm.
And then we saw a little light. It was actually lighter. It wasn't as bright. It was like a...
This was
if
like
it
a
could make a
small
sound.
flicker.
It was a small flicker. It wasn't as big.
Yeah.
And then he goes, okay. So Adrian, and Taka, are you here? And so then it was a big light, and then it was a smaller light after. And then I started crying because I didn't know what to do with that emotion. I just started bursting in tears. Everyone was in dead silence at that point. And we all got freaked out. We kind of got really freaked out, and then the lights just all blew out altogether. Blew out completely. Right then and there. And we tried, flicking the lights on and off, on and off, on and off. And we're like, no, the lights are done for. Like, they're gone. And we didn't record this. We didn't tell anyone. We didn't try to, validate this. We just, as a family, internalized what we saw. But we were both blessed and freaked out. We didn't know how to feel about it. Because, it's one thing to be like, you want to believe that loved ones exist beyond. You want to believe that.
Yeah.
You want to believe that your loved ones exist beyond this time.
I totally agree. Yeah.
This plane. So we're like, okay, but then again, we were spooked at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's my kind of spooky, scary story, and since that day, I've never had anything like that happen to me again. Truly. And here at the beginning, we thought it was just my grandfather screwing around with us like he always does. Because he knows that. We love horror movies. And he just likes to scare us in the moment. And he's in the background. He somehow sneaks away in the background and just scares us. And I don't like it. But he does it just because he just wants to freak us out. So,
that's one of the most wholesome, scary stories I've ever heard.
It's heartwarming.
That's crazy. I've never heard a scary story so wholesome in my life.
Well, I didn't want to freak people out too bad,
No.
But at the same time, it's like, how do you feel in that moment? Do you feel,
I don't know.
like you said, do you feel wholesome or do you feel scared?
I would bawl at that moment, actually. Knowing that history and stuff. I would cry as well. I'm tearing up right now. And
There was only one other instance where I had something weird like that happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I gotta tell this one because
Okay,
We'll include this in the same section.
loop. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of short, but I at the beginning of a relationship I had, I started talking on the phone with a girlfriend I had, but she wasn't my girlfriend at the time. I was just talking to her on the phone, and I was headed home from a bar, and I was like, okay. I was like, well, I feel tipsy. I'm gonna go home, and I didn't want to drive at the time, so I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna walk. Started walking, and I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't feel comfortable walking right now. It's weird because I'm not a person that gets spooked very easily.
Right.
But I was like, yeah, I just feel weird. I was like, if everything around me feels ominous. And I was just and I keep walking, and I'm like, and I see the the light in front of the street light in front of me just go out. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And the one behind me goes out. From that one street light, the ones next to them go out. And then as I continue walking, lights just keep going out around me.
Is that not a normal thing?
No, as if I'm the thing that's making all the lights go out.
No, but that's a serious question. Is that not a normal thing?
That lights go out when you pass them?
Yeah.
No.
I would say no, it's not a normal thing.
Because
does it happen to you often?
Yeah. Because I'm constantly walking everywhere, right? You guys know this. But I don't mean to interrupt your story.
No. What I mean is that they're not coming on.
No, not coming on, but they go out as you're walking towards them, and they just go out, and then they don't come back on. That happens to me all the time when I'm walking around.
Yeah, that's the only other instance I had, which was weird. I was like, so I had the street lights were going out as I was walking to them.
Yeah, in your experience, you've never really had that, and all of a sudden, street lights are going out.
Yeah, so
right.
So it's not just street lights; it's people's apartments and houses and
so
car lights. So at that point,
so it's darkening as you go along.
Yeah, as I'm walking down the block, this has happened for about 4 blocks. I was literally just walking, and people's houses lights were going out, and their apartment lights were going out, and I was just walking down the street, and I feel like I'm the one doing this, but I'm still, the weird thing was I was still on the phone with the person I was talking with, and I was like, I feel weird. This just does not feel natural at all. And I was just like, I'm tipsy. Feels weird. Very ominous. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm definitely going to go home and go to sleep. I was like, can you just stay on the phone until I get home? And it's like, if somebody kills me,
were you kind of like second guessing yourself? Like,
yeah,
I don't know if this is real, but I don't know if this is just my mind.
Exactly. I was like, that's what was going through my mind the whole time. I was like, is this real life? I was like, I'm not drunk. I'm like, but I was like, I noticed all this stuff going on around me, and it's weird. And then again, but we live in an old town with a really shitty electric system, so it might just been that. So, I don't know. It was weird. I mean, you hear about like rolling blackouts. Maybe I was just like on the path of one of those things.
Yeah.
And see,
So-
I've heard of like what you Ryan's saying, lights going out, but I've never heard of like the lights in the apartments going out. That like amplifies it. That's scary.
But I've definitely walked down an entire street where, as I was passing a light, the light goes out.
Yeah.
And
So-
that's natural.
Yeah.
that seems natural. I don't know why it does. Maybe it's because it's just something that happens to me all the time.
Well, no, I think in town it was we did this experiment in town when I was in high school. The street lights we have in town, they're halogen lights. Mm-hmm. So a lot of stuff gets built up inside of it. So the solar panel gets covered with a bunch of debris, or water / snow or just dirt in general. But sometimes it covers that solar panel, doesn't have enough electricity to stay on, so it kind of turns on and off all night.
Yeah.
And see, in mine, like with my spooky story, what freaked me out the most was that my grandfather addressed it by name.
And then
hey,
answered.
do this, and then it like did it, and then he's like,
responded.
hey, do this, and then it responded, and
seriously.
that gave me chills, and that's why I started crying, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't like where this is going.
Yeah,
but
it's always scary when something responds.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember my grandma at the time was trying to comfort me, and she tried to give me a hug, and she's like, it's not anything to be scared of. She goes, I know you're scared because like I've never seen anything like that. Mm-hmm. And she goes, but it's not anything to be scared of. Mm-hmm. She goes, it's just they're here, like meaning my dad and my brother. They're here, so don't be scared of it. Mm-hmm. They're not harming you. So we all kind of moved on, and we were like, took a deep breath, and we're like, okay, that happened.
Yeah.
Let's not freak out. It's not like someone's trying to murder us. It's not like, some kind of actual horror movie. But
have I mentioned on the podcast that people say my room's haunted?
No, we talked about it one day though.
Yeah, I know we talked about it.
And your room is haunted?
No.
Here?
People tell me, People tell me my room is haunted.
No. What we did talk about it on the podcast.
Did we talk about it on the podcast?
I think it's actually one of the scary stories.
Is it one of the scary stories?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I slept in your room. It was fine.
No.
Just to reiterate, I have never seen anything in my room. I've never felt anything in my room.
Right.
But there have been things that have happened in my room. There have been families that lived in that room.
Right.
Nothing happened in those families in particular where they would haunt the room. From what I know, they just have felt those entities.
Presence.
Like, there was a time when a friend of mine, his girlfriend and her daughter lived in that room, and they were coming out to cook and stuff, and she was still in the room by herself. She's like, "No, don't leave. There's a man in here with us." And I'm like, and that was when I was sleeping on the couch, and I was just,
oh, dude. Speaking of scary, okay, I don't know if you're done.
And I was just like, all right, that's creepy. like I had no reason to disbelieve anything anyone said about that room, right?
Yeah.
And now that I'm living in that room, I feel nothing. But since my little brother's girlfriend moved in, she has actually said that when I was out here, she's seen like somebody walking around in my room. She's seen like a white figure move across from the corner of her eye and stuff. And I'm just like, it's never done anything to me. I've got no problems.
The funny thing
that's just about it.
No, there's like 2 or 3 times when we've done the podcast, not from here, this position, but in the kitchen. And like, there was a few times when I was like, "Did Taylor just go in your room?" And I was like, "Because it's about Taylor's height." And I was like,
and he's
and I've seen it go into the room. Like, it looks like it's like starts. It's weird because like the section behind me, it looks like it doesn't look like it crosses it. It looks like it starts halfway, and then just goes into the room. And then I keep like panning toward it, and I'm like, huh? Because it's like it's something your eyes kind of like go towards movement.
Quote unquote, your eyes.
Your eyes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, not just like me.
Sorry, no.
And you know, it's like, I've never noticed anything.
No. I mean,
wintertime, the heater's on, and it makes noises, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a little
Yeah.
that's
That's
the only,
normal.
that's
Yeah,
the only
that's
freaky
normal.
thing that happens at night because you know that's a normal sound to hear.
yeah.
Like, you know that
That's
happens.
a familiar
right.
sound. Yeah.
and yeah.
Okay, so I know that I'm adding a second kind of scary story. It's short, kind of like yours.
That's fine. We're only 20 minutes in.
But
Okay.
I'm down to have these things be like at least 30 minutes.
Yeah, go ahead.
but you remember Sam?
I had a feeling you might go to this. The
Yes.
white face.
I don't remember Sam. Who's Sam?
So, okay, let me give you context.
Yeah.
So, Uriah and I were roommates in my college years, and
Well,
he was also technically in college years too.
At the time, I dropped out. In case
Yeah.
people don't know that.
So,
I
you
dro-
know
I
where
dropped
we
out.
picked up the beer tonight, right? So,
I
there,
don't.
It was around
there,
there.
I don't.
We lived like right up the street.
Well, literally
I don't
right
remember.
across from Beaver Street, we were in a townhouse. Right
No,
there.
I remember. I'm joking with you guys. I
Yeah, he
remember.
knows exactly.
I'm just
I've showed him-
You're
I've
just
showed him-
joshing me right now. How rude.
I'm not in that name term, but like, whatever.
Continue, Alex.
Anyways, we were living in a townhouse on that corner, and I invited Sam to be my, like, technically my roomie, because it was when we decided to be roommates, it was just going to be me, Uriah, and Steven, and I decided later along the way that Sam was going to be my roommate because I was the only other girl living in the house. So she would share the room with me. And I was totally fine with that. I was like, yeah, sure. Sam and I can share a room. That's totally fine. But she experienced some really weird, scary things in my room in particular.
You remember the light?
Yeah, the light, because we had a walk-in closet, and there was a light inside of that walk-in closet, and it would click on and off.
It had like a long string with like a shell at the bottom of it.
Yeah,
right?
it had a little kind of shell at the bottom because it was for the weight. And so you'd pull it, and it would control the light.
Yeah, it would turn the light on and off
Yeah, I get it.
But she swore that she could hear it swinging
at night.
at nighttime. And I never heard it swinging. But she said, Alex, this light switch is swinging. It's swinging back and forth at night.
And then they told me about this, and I'm like, oh, let's go look at your room real quick.
Yeah.
I looked in the room and like, there's like a little hatch up there, right? I'm like,
Yeah, because there was a kind of like a hatch attic space that you could pull down.
yeah, so that you get up into like where all the vents and shit
Exactly.
were. Yeah, where all the
and that
insulation-
always seems sketchy as fuck.
And
Yeah.
that was from my room. But Sam was staying with me, right? And then she started bringing up this like white-faced creature that she
So
was
you weren't
starting
there
to
for
see.
that. You weren't there for that.
I wasn't there for that.
No. You were there for the time she talked about it.
She talked about it, but I
where
wasn't in presence. I
where-
wasn't in presence
where-
when it happened.
Where it originated from is you weren't there. So it was me. You remember Nick?
Yeah.
Me, Nick, Dondre, and everyone were skating at a certain spot, right? And there was
Right.
woods right next to it, so
Right.
we all chilled in the woods at night there.
Exactly.
And then she was like, "There's a white face there." I'm like, "I don't see anything."
Exactly. Yeah.
I've seen white faces, not
Yeah, I don't see anything.
not racial or anything, but there's a whole story. I don't know if I've told the story. I'm gonna have to go through the stories I've told during this podcast. But there was a white face I actually saw in the woods out behind Kalani dorms. And I was like, there's a white face there, and me and Nick saw it. Everyone in that is
yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And like, I was like, I don't see a white face there. Like, you sure you've seen something there? She's like, yeah, there's something there, Ryan. And she swears by it that there's always a white face around until she enters my room. And she literally slept in my room for like a good 2 months just because the white face wouldn't enter the room, my room.
Yeah, his room in particular. But she didn't trust my room because she swore that light switch, which was a string with that shell on the bottom.
Yeah.
And she said, I can hear it just swinging all night long. And I'm like, I don't hear anything. Like, are you sure? And she was starting to freak me out. Like, I was questioning myself.
She gets so emotional about it, too.
Like,
I believe it.
And I was like, I don't hear anything.
And to be honest, like, just because I didn't see anything doesn't mean I didn't believe it.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I didn't want to be that one person in that movie that was like, I don't believe you, you know?
So when she said,
Yeah.
she's like, I'm going to go sleep in Urian's room because I feel safer. And I was like, that's fine. Yeah, I wasn't against it. I was like, okay, if you want to go sleep in Urian's area, that's fine. But she really didn't want to sleep in my room. And this was a simple townhouse. And, of course, Steven is just oblivious to all of this because he's living on the bottom floor.
He's downstairs.
Right. We're the ones on the top floor.
And
I mean, to be honest, that place is pretty damn close to the hospital.
yeah, that's true. That's definitely
Like,
true.
Yeah, that's true. You got to consider the hospital location.
You know, to be honest, all the times I told the story, I've never considered that.
Yeah.
But we were really close.
Yeah, it's literally like half a block from the hospital.
Not even half
Not
a
even
block.
half a block. We were like maybe footsteps from the
I was
hospital.
giving half a block as a courtesy.
Oh, like a...
I was like,
Sure,
it's like half a block.
No, we were hella close.
Yeah, you guys
Like,
were really close.
you
to the
could
damn
walk
hospital.
literally up that incline and we were at the hospital.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
We live less than 100 meters.
But you
away
know,
from
that makes me
the
think. I
emergency
wonder
room.
if
Yeah.
other people in those townhomes experience anything.
I've heard of things like, well, a lot of people I knew going to high school, they used to live like in those houses
You
that
know,
are
Taylor
around there.
Harvey used to live actually in one of those
Yeah, she used to live there too.
Yeah, I used to know a lot of people that literally
I
lived
didn't even
around.
like say her whole fucking name in the podcast.
Yeah,
but
you didn't need to.
just
Omit that.
I'll blur out the last name, but like just so that you had the context of who I was talking about.
No, but did you ever hear of any experiences from people like living in the
Yeah,
area?
I've had plenty of
there?
people that lived around the hospital that had weird experiences. Which this is
It's just kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's just a thing.
It just feels natural now.
yeah, like it feels like it's kind of weird to hear to not hear that somebody.
Yeah,
lived
so you're like
almost
not
next to the-
surprised.
Yeah, I'm not
even
surprised
though
to
we
hear.
lived next to the hospital.
Yeah, like there's some. I mean, I'm pretty sure anybody that lives next to a hospital that has what do you call it, an emergency room, is gonna experience weird paranormal.
Sure, and
events.
that makes total sense actually.
Yeah, so it's like
But
hospitals are kind of like scary.
but
sometimes.
I've never experienced anything there.
Yeah,
Not that I've like intentionally tried,
yeah,
but like it's just like I have tried to look for it.
Yeah.
When she said there were signs, I was like, all right, there could be signs. I tried looking for them, didn't see a single thing. She slept in my room, right? And she was like, I can hear him banging on the walls, the door, and everything at night while I'm trying to sleep just because he can't enter your room. I'm like, but like, why can't he enter my room?
Yeah, like she really was in this whole thing that there was things living in our townhouse that were trying to get in and for whatever reason couldn't enter Urian's room. So that's
No,
why
I
she
believe
felt that's why she felt safer there.
I have a theory on that though.
But I don't like my question is like, well, why Urian's room?
I have a theory on that.
Okay, what's the theory?
You know that Snooki right there?
Yeah.
I've told you about the story about me seeing the white face in Behind the Woods.
Right.
I've told you that. I'm pretty sure I've told the
yeah.
podcast that before.
You told me.
It's been a thing.
Yeah.
I mentioned it briefly before. And when we all saw that ghost face in the woods, I put what do you call it? Arrowheads with the arrowhead necklaces I had
Right.
on everyone's beds. The only bed that was when we woke up in the morning, one of the arrowheads was broken.
Mm-hmm.
If you pick at that Snoopy, you're gonna see that arrowhead,
The broken one.
the broken one.
Oh, okay. What's up? Oh, dope.
I want to see this.
I mean, it's not a real arrowhead, but whatever.
Yeah, it's not an actual arrowhead, but you know, like the symbolism.
Yeah, I
Right.
get it.
The
So, a
symbolism.
lot of symbolism counts between
Okay.
here and there, you know. And that is that same arrowhead that has always been with me with Snoopy. Ever since then, I put him on Snoopy.
Right.
And it's been there. And I feel like that arrowhead plus Snoopy has helped, not exactly like helped me, but like has protected me.
That's weird. A broken one?
No, I agree. I agree. Like I can't explain it, but it just feels right. Like I can't explain why. It just feels right.
Was it given to you broken?
No, it was broken in the night.
Oh.
Of that first time we saw the white face.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
No.
usually you'd be like, oh, that's a bad omen, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I gotta keep this.
For some reason, it felt like a better omen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And since then, like, not in my rooms that I've been in,
Yeah.
I've never felt anything bad. People
Well-
have seen things in my room.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Well, when I think about it, I think about how lightning strikes. When lightning strikes, sometimes it's a bad omen. And if you think about when it strikes something like this arrowhead on Snoopy, clearly part of it survived from it.
mhm.
And so let's say something, I don't know, bad, in quotations, bad, hit it, but part of it survived. So I could see that kind of like, you know, it still means something. It's still significant. It's still a safety thing because it actually did what it was supposed to do. It did its job. It did what it was always intended to do.
Mhm.
So,
So
this
it's
is
still
a weird-
safe, right?
Well, no. What I mean is, like, what I was going to say is, I see it in the same way that, like, Hopis mark themselves in the time of when they say that in Galmuya, that they mark themselves with ash.
Right.
So that you can mask yourself from
Right.
the dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what that would mean to me, is that you're masking yourself from, you're kind of like saying, oh yeah, I'm one of you, or I'm a part of this without actually being a part of it. And then they ignore
Yeah.
familiar things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
So-
the way you do it. It's like, you can,
Yeah, because when Galmoya comes, which is a really, it's a very intensified time, is how I would explain it in like simple terms.
In simple terms, it's like the spirit world that's when it's most permeated within our own world.
Yeah, that's when it kind of blends into the real world.
Well, the two worlds that we're in right now,
Yeah,
supposedly.
supposedly,
that are
right.
in
Mhm.
conjunction with
Yeah.
one another. Sure.
And so that kind of serves as your ash. Because for our people, you know, like Hopi, when we enter that time frame, because it's not all year, it's just a certain time frame. And when we enter that time frame, there's certain things you can do to essentially shield yourself from negativity or from things that are not so good or from essentially like a spirit world that's not so good.
Yeah.
And in one way for, you know, Hopi, it's ash. But for others it may be different. And I think what he's tying into is that Snoopy with the broken, you know, arrow, that's your ash. That's your way. And it makes sense. I makes sense to me, you know.
No, but that's what I've been saying though.
Yeah.
With the broken arrowhead. Like
Right.
like since then, I have not I haven't experienced anything that intense. And with that, that is the end of After Hours podcast, Scary Stories episode. If you have any experiences, be sure to write them down in the comments. I'd love to read them. Like and subscribe, and hope you have a good, spooky October.